Broker Bulletin acknowledges the traditional custodians of all the lands across the country on which we record our podcast and pays its respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Welcome to the Broker Bulletin podcast, where better begins. Join us as we chat with brokers about what's working for them, what drives them, and the real challenges and wins that matter most right now.
Welcome to a brand new episode of Broker Bulletin. We're coming to you live from Growth Summit. Today we're talking about something every broker in the room owns, whether they realise it or not, and that's their brand. We aren't talking about your logo or colours. We're talking about reputation and standards. The experience clients talk about when you're not in the room. Elders is one of the most recognised brands in Australia. It has been built over generations, and in finance, the kind of trust is hard won and easily lost. So the question is, how do you grow, modernise and compete in 2026 without diluting what made the brand strong in the first place? To unpack that, I'm joined by Head of Elders Finance, Steve Gibson, or Stephen Gibson, or Gibbo. Steve, welcome. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Monty.
Thank you. So today we'll talk about the brand and we'll talk about Elders. Elders is one of the most recognised brands in regional Australia. Can you give us a little bit of background into the business and then how long the broking arm has been in action?
Yeah, sure, Monty. Elders has been around a long time, 187 years to be exact. Generational business. In the regional area, it's first and foremost the brand to go to.
Yeah.
Bigger than McDonald's, if you want to look at it that way. The brand's more recognisable. The finance arm started in about, let's go back, late 90s. We actually had our own banking licence. A few things changed, regulations changed, got out of that. Early 2000s, we started the broker arm. And the broker arm was predominantly home finance. That was it. We also had a business that we were involved in called Rural Bank, which Elders owned in conjunction with Bendigo Bank. So this has been around for a long time.
I know a lot about your business, or I can say a little bit about your business. I see it at the moment, it's pretty strong from a commercial agri point of view. Was that a deliberate strategy that you guys had, or?
Massive change 2 years ago. So we got out of our Rural Bank agreement and became our own brokerage. And some of that was around regulation changes and things, relationships moving in a different direction. But we decided that we had to move more so into that agri space, which we couldn't do ourselves because of our agreements. So 2 years ago, we decided let's go hard in that agri space. And we have, in the last few years, moved very quickly. Well, they say we pivoted.
Corporate speak.
We pivoted. We sit here today, we've got, across a couple of different brands, 50 agri brokers who are all salaried.
And this is a question without notice. How many staff do Elders have in general?
I can tell you, actually, at a conference last week, 4,500 staff across the country. So, and there's multiple brands across that as well.
Yeah.
That's just not one of our Elders brand. There's a lot of different segments of where business we're bought strategically.
Yep.
But also kept different brands in different locations.
I get that some of them operate under Elders. With the other ones, how do you get them to fit in the culture of what Elders is about?
It's a good question because there are so many different personalities out there. But I think the biggest part of it is that they see what Elders has done in the past. They become part of the broader family. So even though we talk about, okay, we're Elders or we're X brand, everyone knows where they fit and they're all serving a different purpose for that main brand.
So we're talking about protecting the brand, and it was almost a follow-on from that question. So from your perspective, what does that mean? So how important is it that they uphold the Elder brand, obviously?
It's been around a long time, as we just mentioned before. It's one of those things where everyone needs to fit into a spot.
Yep.
And understand where, sounds weird, but where their money's coming from, where their paycheck's coming from, Jess. But at the same time, is this, when you've got a brand so strong and it's been around a long time, people respect it.
Yeah.
And we want that to continue. So everyone works hand in hand together.
Is there an expectation that client experience, regardless of the brand, if they're Elders or their own brand, that Elders has bought the same, or you're okay with them offering those different types of experiences?
No, it's one brand. At the end of the day, we all want the same outcome. Client first. We have a saying in Elders, one Elders. So everything is important around the whole group, but we all want that same experience for the client moving forward.
And once again, knowing your business a little bit more, I know you're on a huge acquisition trail, definitely in the finance part. If they don't fit that one Elders brand, is that something that you look at straight away and say, oh, well, regardless of how profitable this business could be, you just say no?
Yeah, and if it doesn't fit our long-term model, it doesn't work. So when we're looking at acquisitions, and we're doing quite a bit at the moment, right across the board, not just in finance. It's got to have that one elders mentality the whole way through. If it doesn't fit the mold, it doesn't. We don't take it on.
And you quickly cut it as soon as you say it.
And look, if you go back and look at elders' history, elders IXL and going back, we moved away from where the business model was. Some of the business we owned, pubs, breweries, they didn't fit. So we go, you take it back to what our business was agriculture. It's retail, wholesale inside that business.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, right. Didn't know you owned pubs. There you go. I've learned something new today.
CUB.
I would be floored. So you talk.
Sorry, you can go back and say, you remember John Elliott?
Yeah.
Elders IXL.
Yeah, right. There you go. He was a Carlton supporter there. He was
Carlton president.
Golden president. That's right. So how do you balance that heritage? Because there's obviously a long withstanding heritage with elders with modern expectations.
Once again, you don't move away from the end goal, which is the client. Agriculture is everything we do. And being out in the regional areas and having our brand there. And go back to a banking perspective or finance, the big push for us is the banks are leading your towns. We're here to stay. And this has been probably our push the last 2 years is we've had that advantage that there's been an elder store in your town for 70, 80 years. Your major banks are closing. Where do you go?
And do you see with that, like, because Elders is arguably it's just as old as some of the banks. I mean, like, I don't know. Yeah. So do you think that they're, in those country towns, they're probably closer to those branches than they ever have been?
Yeah, definitely. And look, we've had in the past our own deposit products. And obviously part of the bank breakdown, we lost that. But we've gone down that line again. We've partnered up with a bank to the extent where Elders does not only finance, we have deposit products, term deposits, FMDs, farm management accounts, and it's all with an Elders brand on it.
Yeah, okay.
Clients are now coming back because that's what they were used to before.
And that's the brand that they know and trust.
Yep. So a client can walk into one of our branches and open a bank account.
Yeah, okay.
They can do their banking through us through Australia Post now.
You're almost, without the stuff, you're almost your own bank.
Yep, exactly.
So it kind of goes to, and I know we've spoken about this a little bit, but brand is built over decades and lost in moments. What are the real risks that you're actively managing on a daily basis? You probably only see the finance side of things, so let's talk to that rather than the overall Elders.
I think we've seen a bit of a last week with the banks talking about these issues they're having with AI and fraud. So compliance and that back-end stuff it's really important.
Yeah.
But that's the sort of stuff that can bring anyone down. You're talking about last week, CommBank coming out and you're talking about $1 billion. If there was something that happened to us.
And you're publicly listed as well. So
exactly right. So compliance, first and foremost, we're probably stricter than some of the aggregators out there because we know at the end of the day, it's our license, it's our brand, and the brand is more important than anything else. We're quite happy to turn around and find out if a broker does the wrong thing, we're not going to muck around. They're at the door. Broker, staff members, no different. Compliance is the main thing when it comes to our brand.
And you've got brokers that are both employees, and it's, I don't know, it's probably 50-50 split, but it might be a bit more. You got employees and contractors. Obviously, contractors can have a little bit more freedom than what a staff member does, but how much do you impress on them that, once again, it's client first, it's the Elders brand that they're working under? Is that really important when they come on as well?
Yeah. So you're right. We have a contractor brand, which was our first model. The salaried model is probably bigger and will grow faster than our broker model. There's no shift. It's one way or the highway. So if you don't do the right thing, whether you're a broker, who's self-employed, we're the same rules either way. And we've got to make sure that we maintain that going through because at the end of the day, we report to our shareholders and big brand, big responsibility. We make a mistake.
There's a brand that's going to be, regardless if they're a self-employed person or
employee. And where we're heading now is that we look at both. The contractor space is important to us still.
Yeah.
And we're just employed a guy to manage that for us.
Yeah.
But I think we'll see moving forward is our salaried model will be where we're heading across the commercial, asset finance, agri, and home loan model.
Yeah, okay. I think we've probably spoken about the role that the brand plays in those local areas based on some of the big banks pulling out of those areas. What else do they offer besides, not fund like a deposit? Do they give advice or not financial advice, but are they there as like someone who's trusted in the community? Or
definitely. So the crew we're brought in, especially in that agri space, they're all very experienced bankers that we're deliberately targeted because when they're in regional areas, they've got to have that trust. They've got to have their reputation, but more importantly, they've got to know people.
Yeah.
No, they're not advisors. but quite often they're getting called upon by their clients as to how do I structure this? What do I do here going forward? And especially at the moment where certain locations are going through some pretty ordinary drought periods.
Yeah.
Those bankers become very important, and we don't call them brokers. I hate the word broker when they talk about that, and no disrespect to a broker. These guys are agri finance relationship managers. They're a relationship manager first and foremost.
Yeah.
They're sitting at the kitchen table with the farmers, their kids, etc., to work out their plans.
And I assume that they've not necessarily owned farms, but they've been knee deep in feeling some of the pain that some of these farmers have been over the years, whether they've worked at like some of the large banks or whatever. So do you see them as like a sounding board as well for those farmers who do it pretty tough?
Yeah. Trusted and respected. That's what we look at.
Yeah.
And that's part of our values as well, to make sure that these guys, when they go out there, they're not just representing themselves, they're representing a brand.
Yeah.
So they're giving the information that's required for these guys to pick up and run with moving forward.
This isn't necessarily for the elders stuff, but I guess, for the people going out building their own brand or not part of a brand that everybody knows in Australia, what are some of the lessons that you can teach them about what they should be doing based on what values should they have with their brand?
Respect first and foremost, because their brand is going to be everything going forward. So it doesn't matter what they want to call themselves, but you go out and treat that that's the gold. Yeah, the gold layer. So if you don't treat it that way, people aren't going to respect it that way. You don't get the business come back.
Because a lot of brokers, and obviously I see it where I am, but they're quick to bring on brokers that may not necessarily fit their values, but they would just say, "Oh, we'll let it go. They're okay." But I think, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but from a brand point of view, the way that everybody interacts under that brand is probably important because the rest of your brand. If your brand is something, it's going to get quickly shot down in a couple of minutes.
One bad cog can ruin the whole lot.
Yeah.
So you bring people on for the right reason. If you're bringing people on to make money, you've lost your own, you end up respecting your own values. It's all about money.
We're at the end of what feels like a really quick chat, but I probably, I learned a lot, and I learned probably a little bit more about what elders do. And that you're just as old as some of the banks, the big four, if not older. So thanks for your time today. At Broker Bulletin, we're all about finding those 1% improvements that lead to big wins. What's one small thing that you do every day that has the biggest impact on your performance? And that could be a question for you too, if you've got any points to that.
It's just being, I guess, in the center of everything. You got to respect yourself, got to respect your business, but more importantly, it's your clients. Clients are first and foremost. Otherwise, if you don't have clients, you don't have a business.
And if for nothing else, I've probably taken out of today, besides how old Elders is, client first. And you saying pubs.
You're saying pubs.
Yeah.
John Elliott.
Yeah. So there you go. So yeah, they're probably our biggest wrap up today that I've learned a few things about. Is Elders your accountant sport? Well, it is because of accountant. Yeah. And you could probably tell I'm not that happy about it either at the moment, but that's okay. Thanks for so much for listening today. If you have a topic that you want us to discuss, please email us at brokerbulletin@lng.broker or DM us on Instagram. Do you know how to DM on Instagram? Because I have believe, so lng.broker. And our producer will make sure we answer it ASAP. If you like this episode, make sure you rate us and follow us in your favorite pod store.
Thanks for tuning in to Broker Bulletin. We would hate for you to miss an episode. Subscribe to Broker Bulletin in your favourite podcast app. Has this episode been helpful? We'd love you to rate and review us. It'll help us deliver content that's useful to you and help others discover us. If you have great ideas for topics worth tackling or have burning questions you'd like addressed on an upcoming episode, reach out. Links in the show notes. See you next time.